Alright guys, so we have our 6 problems that you're to try. The first 2 are pretty basic 2-step equations. Then the other 4 have extra parts to them, exceptions to the rules, and also some of them are 3-4 step equations. But the first one, we're going to undo our addition and subtraction like normal. So instead, we always start with the side that has the variable. Well, unless there's an exception, of course. But we have a minus 7, so instead of minusing 7, we're going to add 7. So that makes it go away on that side. Anything you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Bring down my 3x equals 8 plus 7 is 15. Remember, I told you need to know that side by side is multiplying. So what's the opposite of multiplying? Divide by 3. So x equals 15 divided by 3, which is 5. Okay, straightforward enough. Now number 2, the only thing different they did is they put the 2 on this side. And since in front of it is nothing, it is positive. So how do I get rid of a positive 2 or a plus 2? Subtract 2. Do it to the other side. So I'll bring down my, doesn't matter if you call that minus 3x or negative 3x. And then 7 minus 2 is 5. Again, 2-step equation, side by side, tells us that we're multiplying negative 3 times x. So we're going to divide by negative 3. So that's my answer. X equals negative 5/3. And it doesn't matter if you put the negative beside the 5, beside the line, or beside the 3, as long as there's just one negative. So x equals negative 5/3. So both those were just 2-step equations. But now, when we move down here, you notice there's a little extra work. So we have, this almost looks like a 2-step equation. The only thing is they have this minus x on this side. Well, the first thing we actually want to do if there's x's on both sides is to get all the x's on the same side. It's going to work pretty much the same as if it was a number. We have a minus x over here. How can we get rid of a minus x? Add x. We want to add it to our 2x, so 2x plus x is just 3x. Bring down the minus 7 equals 8. So that's the only thing different about this problem is that we had that minus x. We had to get all the x's to both the same side. Now we have a 2-step equation like before. And actually I just noticed it's the same problem. Once we move that, it's the same problem as number 1. So we're just going to add our 7. So we have 3x equals 15, divide by 3, x equals 5. Because again, it was the same problem as up here. They just had one of the x's broken out. Them sly dogs. Okay. Now on this problem here, they not only put an x over here, but they also put a value beside parentheses. So we got to do some cleaning up before we can do our equation. So as I told you, a number beside parentheses, that's going to indicate multiplication and what's called the distributive property. So we have to take that 3 times, or distribute it, times everything in the parentheses. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 4, a positive times a negative is negative, so negative 12. I'm just going to rewrite the rest. So I did the distributive first. Now I'm going to get all my x's to the same side. So instead of minus 2x, let's add 2x. So 3x and 2x makes 5x minus 12 equals 8. Now we are at a 2-step equation after we did that cleaning up there on both sides. So we will start with undoing addition and subtraction. Add 12 to both sides instead of the minus 12. So 5x equals 20. And then again, side by side tells us to multiply, so we're going to have to divide by 5. So 20 divided by 5, x is going to be 4. Okay. Now these next 2 problems, they've introduced some division. Okay. So I normally tell you we have to undo addition and subtraction first, but I cannot. This is part of one big fraction or one big division, so I can't address it yet. For this exception, if the whole thing is being divided by 2, I can undo that. Instead of divide by 2, let's multiply by 2. I just write it off to the side, put my dot, and then cross it out. Because it's basically, the 2 is on the bottom, so it's like 1/2. 2 times 1/2 just makes it 1. So over here we have 4 times 2, which is 8. I'm going to bring down my x minus 7, which is left over. And now I have a two-step equation once I got rid of that side being divided by 2. So now we add 7 to both sides. And we're left with x equals 15. And that was it. So that was actually, after we got rid of that division, it was just a one-step equation. And the last one looks a little more complicated, but it's the same principle. On this side, everything's being divided by 3, so we got to get rid of that dividing by 3, multiplying by 3. So we're going to have to multiply this whole thing times 3, which is going to be the distributive property again. So how do we take 3 times 2/3? Well, that's the same as 3 over 1 times 2 over 3. If we want to simplify, the 3's will cancel out. We're just left with 2 over 1 or 2. So that's 2x. Then we take 3 times negative 5. Well, that's going to be negative 15. Then we're left on this side with 6 minus x. So again, we want to get rid of our minus x. How do we get rid of that? Plus x. So 3x minus 15 equals 6. Now we are finally down to a two-step equation like we have been doing. Add 15 to both sides. 3x equals 21. Instead of multiplying by 3, let's divide by 3. So x equals 7. So this is the big reason why you can't just look at equations and solve them. You have to follow the steps. So most of the time we're undoing addition and subtraction first. But there are exceptions. If you have x's on both sides, get them all to one side. If you see the distributive property, go ahead and multiply through. And if one whole side is being divided by something, we can undo that division with multiplying. All right. Thank you guys. Be on the lookout for the next video.